It's the 21st day of January 2021. This is Pan-African News here on Pan-African Television. My name is Ivy Abnadi. We are live across 46 African countries and some part of Europe. We're also live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. Let's look at our headlines. Today on Pan-African News, we will be hearing some parents in Ejoso who are worried over the rising cases of COVID-19 as today marks day 4 of school reopening. Prior to this, we will be speaking to the spokesperson of the Ghana Education Service, Cassandra Chum Ampofo. She'll join us on phone. Also on our local front, we'll be hearing from some members of the legal team of both the petitioner and the second respondent in the 2020 election petition hearing. The managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Comrade Kwesi Pratt Jr., is worried about the current state of Ghana's economy. Ahead in business, Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry has tasked government to consider the provision of stimulus package for local businesses. These and many other stories from our international partners People's Dispatch will be live here on Pan-African Television in the next 1 hour. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for staying. The news in detail. A critical look at some schools in the Ghana East municipality reveals congestion in most of the classrooms as a potential threat that may aid in the spike of positive case count of the virus. Although most of the schools have in place the necessary PPEs, congestion is a major challenge that needs urgent response.
At the Kwabenya Atomic MA Primary School in Accra, classrooms clearly look unconducive. Meanwhile, the Ghana Health Service recommends a smaller class size to help curb the spread of the virus. According to the head teacher, as part of the move to space out students, they are writing to some churches in the area to grant them permission to use their church spaces.
Parents are eager to bring their children to school, but we are constrained with space. So what we are going to do now is to split most of the classes that are over and above the size of the classroom so that we'll be able to observe social distancing. Temporarily, we can create space in the form of canopies and pavilions so that some of the children can be taken outside of the classroom.
Moving on, some parents in the Ejoso municipality of the Ashanti region are worried about the reopening of schools in the midst of rising figures of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, speaking to the media, some parents complained about the total number of students in class and urged teachers to help ensure that safety protocols in the schools are adhered to. They are calling on government to provide PPEs to both teachers and pupils to help prevent the spread of the coronavirus pandemic.
Kwani go small classroom until say everyone say empty me any be any problem be say dem kwani baba was say quarantine wo mo school but the woman ha kaka say teacher for no so ba boy say me be anu mo so ba yes say kwani ho ba say kwani so yi omu ho a mo so ba boy no maye ni ya maye fa ya no mo so ba ba so small kwani dos ba ko e ba na ya mo so ya no the woman said no mask, no sanitizer. Social distance, school.
What we have been discussing with them, right, when we meet them, is they should not be apprehensive of their children getting COVID, because all the necessary contingencies, the COVID protocols are in place, right? So they should not be apprehensive of that, and that they should send their children back to school.
I personally am a teacher. I know every school in the district or in the municipal. One of the challenges in the municipal is lack of furniture. So last 2 years ago, we made 900 DEDEs and distributed among the schools.
You're welcome back. Now, with regards to the reopening of schools amid the COVID-19 pandemic, our Ashanti regional correspondent Isaac Ocho is on standby. He is touring some schools in the Ashanti region to give us information with whatever that is happening in the schools. Isaac Ocho, good afternoon. If you can hear me.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay, Isaac, quick one. We all know the issues surrounding the reopening of schools amid the COVID-19. Kindly tell us the schools you have been touring and tell us what you have gathered so far.
A number of the schools within the Ashanti region. This includes senior high schools, private schools, and also some junior high schools in the Ashanti region and its environs. And particularly on Monday, I went to a green campus for baby school where we observed that most of the students are really coming out or coming into the schools. When we went around, we checked that if you could see the COVID protocols and measures that have been put in place are all ensured within the various schools that we visited. And of course, when we went there, we observed that most of the schools have what we call the washing basin that students or pupils will use to wash their hands in most of the schools that we visited. And also most of the students and also parents who are coming in for admission.
Isaac, hello Isaac. Okay, so we lost Isaac. We'll be trying as much as possible to get in touch with our various correspondents across the various regions to tell us what they have gathered so far. Now, this is the situation happening. I mean, some students or some school. Okay, Isaac is back online. Isaac, kindly go on.
Yeah, so we also observed that most.
Hello. Okay, we are having some difficulties connecting with Isaac. Okay, so this has been Pan-African News on Pan-African Television. We are still trying as much as possible to speak to some of the PROs for the Ghana Education Service to give us more on this. Now, moving on, the Member of Parliament for Madina constituency, Francis Susu, has paid a working visit to some students in the La Quantanine Municipal Assembly to check on the audience to the COVID-19 protocols by schools in the constituency. The Member of Parliament was in the company of a Municipal Chief Executive, Jennifer Afegbezi.
Despite the delay by government in replenishing the schools with PPEs, many were able to provide some Veronica buckets with water, liquid soap, and hand sanitizers. Most pupils had their nose masks on, as well as observing social distancing. In an interview with Mrs. Jennifer Dede Afagbeji, Lankwantana Madina Municipal Chief Executive, she told the media that government has provided many of the schools with PPEs.
Some schools have had their share, and especially for the Veronica buckets, because you know when the basic schools came in to write their exams, so provision was made, and thankfully there were some that still have some excesses available, but for those who have shortages, that will be topped up for them. But to a large extent, our schools have been well equipped to protect themselves against the pandemic.
The Member of Parliament for Madina constituency, lawyer Francis Xavier Susu, also noted that the argument of lower primary not to resume school should be given a reality check. He explained that the pupils have stayed home for too long, hence they rather need to be encouraged and advised on the safety protocols.
I'm merely saying that we suspect that children may have COVID, so they should continue to remain home. I think that may be challenging. Even in other jurisdictions, they have
partially allow children to go to school amidst respect for the COVID protocols. So what is important now is for all of us to support the call and rather support the various schools to adhere to the protocols. But whilst we are at it, we continue to monitor. When we think that the situation will degenerate, we can advise ourselves.
The Lankwantanan Madina Municipal Educational Director, Angela Frimpoma Nkansa, assured parents of the safety of the pupils. She, however, asserted that there is a challenge of social distancing in some schools.
All right, for instance, a school that is not on shift system but has high enrollment in maybe class 4 or class 5, because the space is so small, what we'll do is we'll split it into two. One part will come in the morning for a week and the other in the afternoon. And then we'll let teachers in the school or in that cluster handle them. So after a week, they will alternate. It's a temporary measure until the wave is over, and then we'll go back to our normal class.
Still on the reopening of schools, we have been joined in on phone by Greater Accra Regional Correspondent Derek Botre. Derek, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, How are you today?
Fine, thank you, Derek. Derek, quick one. Tell us what is happening in the various schools you have taught so far.
Okay, so I think you're asking me about what I've gathered with reopening.
Pandemic.
All right, okay, so today I took a tour to some of the schools in Oyaripa, and also ended with the Madina cluster of schools. And there are so few observations that I think are to know. Now, we can start off with the protocols. In many of the schools that I've visited, I can attest to the fact that many of
Hello, Derek. Moving on to some other stories, members of the legal teams for former Presidents John Dramani Mahama and the Electoral Commission in the ongoing election petition hearing have given varying opinions on the decision of the Supreme Court to take witness testimonies and commence hearing of the substantive case on Tuesday, January 26, 2021. This was after the petitioner, former President John Dramani Mahama, filed a request to inspect electoral documents, which was not granted by the court. There's more on this.
We have considered the petition and the answers received by the respondents and the memoranda of issues set down by the parties. We accordingly set down the following issues for the determination of this petition. 1. Whether or not the petition discloses any reasonable course of action. 2. Whether or not, based on the data contained in the declaration of the first respondent and the second respondent as President-elect, no candidate obtained more than 50% of their valid votes cast as required by Article 63, Clause 3 of the 1992 Constitution. 3. Whether or not the second respondent still met the Article 63, Clause 3 of the 1992 Constitution threshold by the exclusion or inclusion of the Techi-Mansard constituency presidential election results. 4. Whether or not the declaration by the first respondent dated the 9th of December 2020 of the results of the presidential election conducted on the 7th December 2020 was in violation of Article 63, Clause 3 of the 1992 Constitution. 5. Whether or not the alleged vote pardon and other errors complained of by the petitioner affected the outcome of the presidential election results of 2020. By virtue of the powers vested in this court under Rule 5, Sub-Rule 4 of CI 99 to dispose of this petition within strict timelines, the following orders are made accordingly. 1. Mode of trial. The petitioner and the witnesses shall file witness statements with exhibits, if any, by noon of Thursday, the 21st of January 2021. 2. The witness statements shall be served on the counsel for the respondents by the close of the day of Thursday, the 21st of January 2021. 3. The respondents and their witnesses, if any, shall file their witness statements with exhibits, if any, by the close of the day on 22nd January 2021. 4. The first and second respondents shall file their submissions on the preliminary objections raised to the petition by 12 noon on Friday, the 22nd of January 2021. 4B, the registrar shall ensure service of the submissions of the preliminary objections by the close of the day on Friday, the 22nd of January 2021. C, the petitioner shall file any response to the submission of the preliminary objection by noon on Monday, the 25th of January 2021. D, the registrar shall ensure service of the petitioner's response by the close of the day on Monday, the 25th of January 2021. E, ruling on the preliminary objection will be incorporated in the judgment of the court. Timelines. The court shall sit on Tuesday, the 26th of January 2021 for hearing of this petition.
Spokesperson for both the petitioners and the respondents' legal teams have given their opinion on the fallout of the hearing. Kojo Opon Nkrumah, a member of the legal communication team for the second respondent, expressed delight in the court's decision to move on with the hearing and take witness testimonies on Thursday, January 21, adding that the petitioner's request to file interrogatories is nothing but a fishing seek information to build a case.
Mr. Mahama filed his petition on the 30th of December. True or false? True. Nobody chose witnesses for him. He listed 5 people that he had as witnesses. That presupposes that he knows who they are. He knows what they are going to say as witnesses on his behalf. Today, when the court says that by this date, bring me the witness statements, now they say it's too short and that they are being rushed into putting together witness statements. We didn't choose their witnesses for them. From 30th of December till now is what, 20 or 21 days? And Mr. Mahama's lawyers are saying to us that they have not drafted witness statements. They don't have a draft of it. From 30th of December, when they filed their petition and chose their own 5 witnesses, they didn't know what the witnesses were going to say. They haven't drafted it. Respondents have listed what they want to do, and we have a fair idea what it takes to contend this case. Now, if they claim that they need to go back to the interrogatories before they can agree to the issues as have been set out and prepare their witness statements, what it means is that their application for interrogatories were a fishing expedition. That what they were doing was to use it to explore what issues they can come to court with. They have been very clear to the Ghanaian public that Mr. Mahama won this election.
However, Marietta Briwa-Pia of the legal team for the petitioner expressed her disappointment in the court's decision to strike out their demands.
Well, we are quite shocked because we are here for pre-trial, for case management, and for those who've been in court, we know what case management is. Case management is a discussion between the parties and the court as to how the trial is going to proceed. Today, that's not what happened. We were told what is going to happen. There was no discussion as to what our views were on how the case should proceed. So we are quite shocked. No, that's not the case. What the court said was that we file our witness statements by tomorrow, by 12 tomorrow. Yes. Now, that means we have just one day to prepare the witness statement. Now, you are all aware already that we had an application for interrogatories. We've served them with notice to admit facts. We've served them with notice to actually inspect documents. All those things have not been attended to. We have actually filed an application for review of their order yesterday relating to their refusal to grant us leave to serve the interrogatories. That has actually been fixed for the 28th. Now, all those things will have an impact on the kind of witness statement we will prepare and file. So if those issues have not been dealt with, those applications have not been dealt with, how do we file witness statements by close of business on the 21st? For us, it's shocking. It really doesn't make sense to us as lawyers who've been practicing in the courts for so many years. And we know what the rules are. We know what the rules are.
The court will also hear the motion filed by the petitioner praying the court review its decision to strike out the application to file interrogatories to the first respondent on Thursday, January 28, 2021. Now, still on the reopening of schools, we are on phone. We have been joined on phone by our OT regional correspondent, Samali Abdul Razak. Samali, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Samali, tell us, how is the OT region? What is happening in the various schools?
Oh, everything is cool in the OT region. Everything is going on well.
Okay. With regards to COVID-19, tell us, what have you gathered so far?
Okay. Since from day one, has government said the school should be open. In the region here, we have also resumed school. All the students, those that are around, are attending school now. But has government said the COVID-19 protocol needs to be strictly observed. Checking out some schools in the region. Some students don't even know what is called nose mask. As I'm standing here right now, there is a school here behind me right now. Most of the students are not using nose masks, and then some of the even are not using nose masks. And much of the parents, some of the parents are much worried about this situation. They are worried because the disease is still in our midst. And here is the case, the government said they should reopen schools. And some of the kids too, they want to play around. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Some of the kids who want to play around. So because of that, parents are more worried about this case. And as I'm speaking with you right now, most of the schools haven't received the PPEs. Has government said the schools, some of the schools will receive the PPEs. Most of the schools haven't received PPEs. So the COVID-19 case here, I can best tell you that the protocol is not observed.
Okay, Samali, what are some of the concerns raised by the parents? What are some of the concerns raised by the parents?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me? Kindly position yourself well. Samali, what are some of the concerns raised by the parents?
The parents are much worried about the reason.
Okay.
The reopening of the schools. What they are saying right now is the government is supposed to reopen school by now because the cases are increasing every day and night. And because of that, government is supposed to give them time or delay the reopening of the school for the meantime or stop students from going to school for now. Because here, like the case, these children, you can't control them. Okay. When you tell this one to sit down here, you see the person going to different place, which you cannot. They don't even use the nose mask. If you give the nose mask to them, they don't use it. And parents are much worried about this because in the house they used to play. The schools, they will do the same thing.
Okay, Samali, thank you so much for your time. So we have been speaking with Samali, our OT regional correspondent. Cassandra is the PRO for the Ghana Education Service. She is on phone. Hello, madam. Good afternoon. Hello. Okay, so Cassandra is not yet on phone. We'll try as much as possible to join or connect her. Moving on, managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Comrade Kwesi Pratt Jr. has characterized Ghana's economy as one in a dire condition. According to the ACE journalist and political commentator, the country's economy is in a serious trouble as remuneration for workers cannot even be paid. Thus, a complete and total restructuring of the economy is required. He was speaking on Good Morning Africa, hosted by Kwame Owusu-Danso.
No matter how you look at it, the economy of Ghana is in dire straits. You're running an economy which is not able to generate enough resources to pay public sector workers. What other evidence do you need? You can't pay workers. If you don't borrow, you can't pay workers. That's a terrible situation for our economy. We are spending 91% of total revenue plus grants, paying principal and paying debt. How can this economy be buoyant? the value of your currency is constantly dropping. Right now, if you go to the market, you need about 6 cedis to be able to get $1. How can you be beating your chest and saying that the economy is doing well? How can the economy be doing well in this situation? Yesterday, after some time, I went and bought a ball of kenke. It's 2 cedis 50 pesos. Only recently we were buying kenke at 50 pesos per ball. Now it's 2 cedis 50 pesos per ball. Look, last week when school opened, I had a lot of parents coming and showing me the bills they had to pay. Not primary, not senior secondary school, not university. Some people in nursery school are paying 7,000 cedis a term for a 2-year-old kid. How many parents earn 2,000 cedis a month? How many parents earn 2,000 cedis a month? So when our leaders look into our face and they tell us that the economy is doing well, I don't know what we should be telling them. This economy is on its knees. Complete on its knees. If you don't borrow, you can't do anything. You understand? And if you are not a beneficiary of ex gratia awards, forget it. You are doomed to die. You understand? You fall sick today and see what will happen to you. And our leaders are sitting there, they are beating their chest and saying they are doing well. Of course they are doing well for themselves. Their children go to school in Birmingham and New York and so on, and they pay fees in dollars and pounds. They don't feel it. They don't buy petrol. They take their cars to the filling station. It is filled for them free. They don't pay for it. So yeah, for them the economy is doing very, very well. The masses in Lima, in Mamobi, in Shukura, Kutuwabi and so on, go and tell them that the economy is doing well.
Kofi Asari is the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch. Kofi, good afternoon. If you can hear me, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Kofi, can you hear me? Good afternoon. Welcome to Pan African News.
Yeah, good afternoon. I can hear you.
Okay. Kofi, when we look at the reopening of schools amid the COVID-19 here in Ghana, I mean, some parents are of the view that some of the classrooms should be split because there are congestion in some of these classrooms. Kofi, what do you make of these issues arising with regards to the reopening of schools amid COVID-19 pandemic?
The issue of congestion is not new.
Okay.
Even prior to COVID, classrooms were congested, especially in urban and peri-urban communities. In Accra and its environs, average class size about 60 to 70. And so even prior to COVID, the classrooms were overpopulated. COVID has come to expose the gaps in our preparedness and also the efficiency in our classroom management. And so it goes without saying that virtually every classroom in urban and peri-urban areas, and I'm talking about the district capitals, regional capitals, and Greater Accra region, to half, at least to half, so that we can have reasonable class sizes of at least 30 in a classroom. That is within the 1 meter distance requirement of the WHO and the Ghana Health Service. So that seems to be the only way forward in respect of the class size management. Either we split them and run shift systems, or we look for alternative spaces in the respective communities like churches, and then get more teachers to do a single track. Beyond that, there is no medium to short-term solution to the class size issue.
Okay. Kofi, still on the schools, I mean, some schools, they have their buildings, I mean, broken down completely. Some students are sitting on the floor. Others are sharing one desk let's look at the situation on board. We see how critical COVID-19 is here. Apparently, we see how critical it is. Kofi, what advice would you give to some of the teachers and the parents as a whole?
As I pointed earlier on, COVID has only come to expose the inequities in the distribution of education resources amongst urban and rural populations. That is why we are finding schools operating under trees and also struggling to have desks to sit on. In the interim, what can be done as we speak is that community members, the school management committee, like assembly members, will have to mobilize communal resources and erect sheds so that we can have our classes as a thing. Where the community members can bring their own chairs from their homes, that should be done. Because you see, after stand, we cannot hold our arms and be waiting for government, especially in the rural communities, because nothing will happen. Nothing will happen in the short term. It will take time for new schools to be built, because in the past 4 years, we have concentrated infrastructural expansion mostly in the senior high schools than basic schools. And so it will take time for us to begin prioritizing basic and then expanding and improving upon the infrastructure. So even if there are no desks, and the children will have to bring their own chairs from their homes, and once there is a teacher, some form of education has taken place, because these students have not had any access to virtual learning systems and technologies in the past 10 months compared to their urban counterparts. And so the opportunity of the teacher
social distancing
should not be
temporarily. We can create space in the.
Okay, so Kofi, do you think the government and the Ghana Education Service has failed us?
Obviously, the reopening of schools has not been without challenges. The planning has not been smooth. Efficiency levels in the planning has not been high. And we think that if we had proper planning, the reopening strategy would have been far more better than what we are seeing now. Very, very, very fundamental basic breaches, which we should have surmounted, are still festering. Issues relating to the delays in PPEs, issues relating to what schools into 2 or 3, and whether or not we are running shifts or not. These issues are so fundamental that they should have been addressed even before reopening. And so the planning was efficient. That is why we are seeing such an ill-prepared preparatory efforts from the Ghana Health Service. Oh. We have reopened schools twice last year, in July and second in August. So we have no excuse to be repeating the very, very mistakes and even going to the point of going back on what we had right last year and doing different things this time around. So the benefits of the lessons of last year's reopening have not served, and for that matter, informed our preparations towards this reopening. Very, very regrettable.
Okay, Kofi, before I let you go, do you have any advice to the government?
Well, the Ghana Education Service will have to sit up, and they will have to enhance their planning and implementation arrangements. People who are supposed to take decisions and supervise their implementation will have to be responsible for their own action. The what people are seen who have been negligent in the discharge of duties, they must be brought to account. Because you see, we are talking health and safety here now. A day or a minute or an hour's delay in supplying essential could cause a loss of life. And so there is no room for any lax performance. So we must hold people accountable for their action.
Okay, Kofi, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Kofi Asare is the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch. Now, you're still watching Pan-African Television News here on Pan-African TV. My name is ABENA Didinakite. We bring you more stories after this quick breather.
Hello. Okay, why? My wife comes and send a message. Hello.
What's happened?
It's a child who will be a quiet say what? A dear sir.
We signed for an affair. I'm sorry, yes. You are not testing messages here. And our officer, so I'm trying to tell you, she says, I
mean, so we a diamano and may you who could look cry. And so also wants a family drilling company limited for Kana.
What's it then? Family Drilling Company Limited.
Ye two borehole, biofuel, biogas, swimming pool, plumbing works in Naso, ye be, Friday 0240-333-111 and NASA 0244-144-822.
Miampa and no swimming pool, we see. We want to, we'll be here. Family Drilling, Family Drilling.
What fast is your last shit?
We are doing that.
Oh, it's incredible! Bang on target!
Welcome to the business segment of Pan African News. In our first story, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the NCCI, has tasked government to consider the provision of a stimulus package for local business involved in the African Continental Free Trade Area after.
The Chamber's president, Clement Osei-Amoako, made the call in an interview. He stressed that the takeoff of the AFTAC meant that local businesses automatically had continent-wide competition. Mr. Osei said the proposed package will also boost the business environment and, in effect, engender critical private sector competitiveness. He said what they seek to do is that they always look at market opportunities to avail themselves to it and see where they can reap whatever is there. According to him, most of the things that they do hitherto were just business meetings in other countries to just look for buyers. But with a market of 1.2 billion, there's a lot of potentials. So, they need knowledge of the market as to what is going on. Now, they are talking about cost of funds. This is important, but they still need to be competitive. That is why they are asking the government to look at giving them some form of stimulus package to help. AFTAC officially kicked off on January 1st, 2021, the African Union-led initiative pulls together a market of 1.2 billion people with a combined GDP of $2.5 trillion. Leveraging on the agreement, Africa is looking to create 40 million jobs by 2025 on the back of a manufacturing output that is projected to double to $1 trillion. The agreement requires all nations to remove 90% tariffs from goods and to allow free access to commodities, goods and services across Africa. The AFTAC headquarters in Accra is the largest free trade area in the world according to the number of countries involved.
Meanwhile, Ghana's petroleum sector recorded negative 4% producer inflation in December last year. The Ghana Statistical Service (GSS) has announced on Wednesday, January 20, 2021. The Ghana Statistical Service explained that the producer inflation rate in the petroleum subsector was 8.2% in December 2019.
The rate, according to the GSS, increased to record 20.6% in January 2020, but declined consistently to record negative 15.4% in May 2020. However, the rate increased continuously to record negative 0.3% in September 2020 and declined to record negative 5.0% in November 2020. The rate increased to record negative 4.0% in December 2020. The producer price inflation in the mining and quarrying subsector decreased by 2.5 percentage points over the November 2020 rate of 34% to record 31.5% in December 2020. The producer inflation for manufacturing, which constitutes more than 2/3 of the total industry, decreased by 1.0 percentage points to record 3.8%. The utility subsector decreased marginally by 0.1 percentage points over the November 2020 rate of 0.3% to record 0.2%.
Now, this is the Interbank CD performance against some major currencies. The dollar is now buying at 5.757 and selling at 5.763. Pounds buying at 7.857 and selling at 7.866. The euro is now buying at 6.969 and selling at 6.976. The naira is selling at 68.362 and buying at 68.224. The CFA is now buying at 94.022 and selling at 94.120. That's all for the business segment. International news is next. In the happenings outside Ghana, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were sworn in yesterday, January 2021, as President and Vice President of the United States of America, following a stimulus 3 months wherein the incumbent competitor Donald Trump waged an intense campaign to allege that the election had been stolen and electoral fraud had been committed.
His campaign culminated in the storming of the Capitol building by a fascist mob on January 6th, who alleged they were fighting to stop the steal of the election from Trump. Biden's victory has been hailed by liberals as a grand victory and a return to normalcy. In the statement by the Party for Socialism and Liberation, they highlight that despite the fact that an open fascist is no longer president, Biden does not represent a working-class victory, and to achieve any advances, there will have to be intensified struggle. Today, just as has happened every 4 years since 1789, an avowed defender of the wealth and power of the ruling elite has been sworn into office as President of the United States. While a great many people are understandably relieved that Donald Trump is leaving the White House, Joe Biden's inauguration on its own will do nothing to remedy the urgent crisis facing the working class and will do nothing to rein in the destructive role of the United States war machine abroad. Having spent almost his entire adult life as a member of the political elite, Biden has accumulated a clear track record as a reactionary politician at the service of Wall Street and Pentagon. Biden launched his career as an opponent of school integration and went on to employ viciously racist rhetoric as he pushed the laws that would form the core architecture of the system of mass incarceration. He has helped deregulate the finance industry, notably with his vote to repeal the Glass-Steagall Act in 1999 and his role passing the 2005 bankruptcy law. Biden was a dutiful steward of U.S. imperialism in the Senate and as Obama's vice president, he voted in favor of the blood-soaked 2003 invasion of Iraq and even proposed the colonial-style partition of the country as a means of putting down the resistance of the United States occupation. In his acceptance speech, Biden emphasized the need for national unity, reconciliation, and bipartisanship. With the Republican Party embroiled in turmoil following the January 6th attack on the Capitol, some elements may be inclined to take up Biden on his offer of cooperation, and they would do so knowing fully well that historically, bipartisanship has always meant that the liberals adapt themselves to the program of the far right, not the other way around. The Democratic Party controls the presidency and both houses of Congress. The only reason that they would seek bipartisanship at this moment is that they prefer the program of the right wing to the program of the left. But politics is dynamic, and the intervention of the masses of people can make all the difference. The struggle of the working class has the power to force even the most reactionary politician to offer concessions. Biden knows this, and there are indicators that some of his first acts in office may be designed to head off opposition from the left. For this struggle to be effective, it must be independent of the Democratic Party and develop its own socialist leadership. Under Biden, it will become ever clearer that the dire problems facing the world are rooted in the capitalist system itself, not the individual politician who holds office. It will become even clearer that revolution and the complete reorganization of society is the only way out of the multiple and intensifying crisis of capitalism. The Party for Socialism and Liberation will redouble its efforts towards this end.
Congratulations to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as President and Vice President of the United States. Credit to our international partners. People's Dispatch. Sports News is next.
Oh, it's incredible! Bang on target!
Hello there, my name is Ivedros. Now let's do some sports. Kumasi Asante Kotoko have climbed to the 3rd position on the Ghana Premier League standings after defeating Ebusia Drafts by a lone goal yesterday. The Porcupine Warriors played as guests to their match day 7 opponents at the Cape Coast Stadium.
The game was supposed to be played on match day 7, but was postponed because of Kotoko's participation in the CAF Champions League. Kotoko head coach Johnson Smith made a single change to the side that drew to Wafa at Sogakope Park in week 9. Habib Mohamed replaced Muniru Sule in the holding midfield position. Although both teams played some good football and created a number of chances in the first half, neither side could find the back of the net and had to go into the break on level pegging. After recess, Asante Kotoko looked the better side as they enjoyed the Lions' share of possession. Following several attempts at goal, the visiting team finally got the breakthrough in the 70th minute when defender Christopher Neti found the back of the net with a decent strike. Dwarfs pressured in the closing stages of the game and won infringements at dangerous positions, but resolute Razak Abalora stood on his feet to ensure Kotoko get all 3 points. With the team holding on to win 1-0 at the end of the 90 minutes, Asante Kotoko has now climbed to third on the Ghana Premier League standings. The record champions are now just a point behind leaders Karela United.
Now, away from that, a board member of the Women's Premier League Committee and Division 1 League Committee member, who is also a co-owner of Rich City Women Football Club, lawyer Cleopatra Ntsiwa, in an interview with Pan-African Sports Desk, has thrown light on challenges facing women football in Ghana and steps to be taken to promote the division.
Unfortunately for us, because of coronavirus and because of all the things that have happened over the last year, I don't even know if I can call it a state. I don't know what's really happening in terms of even not just women's football, but football in general. All I can say is that I'm happy that at least we've been able to come back, we've been able to start the league, and we are putting in measures in place so that at least the issues that we are having concerning the virus doesn't become bad in football. But I mean, for the state of women's football in general, I think that we've begun to do something about it. Because previously, if you weren't into women's football and you want to know anything about women's football, you'll be in the dark. You know where to look, you know what is going on. You don't even hear about women's football. It will shock you to know that even up to recently, I know men in football who are shocked to hear that there is a women's Division 1. But there actually is. We have the Women's Premier League, then we have the Women's Division 1. And I know people in football. Yeah, so there are 16 teams currently spread all over Ghana. So we have the southern sector and then the northern sector. So that's how we've broken it up. Equally, so 8-8. Yes. But then, yeah, there's also the Division 1 as well. So the Division 1, there's about 72 clubs all over the country. So we have the various regions, and then we have clubs located in all the regions. So, yeah. So there's the vice chairperson, there's the chairperson herself. There's Rosalind, who's the vice chairperson, and then we have Hilary, who's the chairperson. And then we have members also. The members, there are about 2 or 3 other people who also own Premier League clubs. I'm the only owner of a Division 1 club in there. Then we have other people who are also well known in football in the committee. So everybody, we don't really have like, you do this, you do that, but we have an understanding that if there's something that needs to be done, whoever is in the best position to do it, does it. So for example, I have done a lot of things concerning maybe social media or bringing attention to the game. So I'm in communication with the communications department of the GFA and the Twitter page running, and I don't really actually do it myself, but at least we give them notices, we tell them what's going on, what they could do, what they could look at. So that's what I can do for the committee right now in terms of spreading the word. That's what I said again, that everybody has their specialty. So the chairperson, she's into human resources. She knows people, she knows how to talk to people, she knows how to go on TV and talk about what is happening in women's football. She's also a big person in her own field that she does as a career. So she knows how to handle the committee. When you're in a committee meeting with her, everybody's relaxed, we're all comfortable, we are talking. It's about everybody's background and where they come from and where they can contribute to the meeting. So I think that we are doing that very well.
That report was filed by my colleague, Salisu Osman. Now, the organizers of the Tokyo Olympics have disclosed that the event will not be happening behind closed doors and that games will take place this summer and without the need for athletes to be vaccinated.
International Olympic Committee member Dick Pound said on January 7 that there could be no guarantees of the postponed 2020 Games going ahead from July 23. But a spokesman says it could even happen without the need for athletes or spectators to be vaccinated. According to reports, there have been no talks of cancellation or postponement, and that everybody is working on the basis that games will go ahead. Also, a decision on how many fans will be allowed inside venues in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic will be taken in March.
That will be all for sport. Entertainment is next.
That was Eve Edwards giving us some sports news. Now wrapping up, let's do some entertainment news. Popular host and former radio personality Tichafa Matambanado, affectionately known in the entertainment industry as Tich Mataz, has been selected to represent Zimbabwe at the upcoming Jamaican Festival. Organizers of the show have confirmed.
Hey, one love, one heart, let's get...
Dubbed the Reggae Global and Cultural Online, the festival will be held virtually and will run from February 1st to 27th to celebrate reggae music as part of the Gregory Isaacs Foundation. Some of the countries taking part at this year's edition include United Kingdom, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Tanzania, Kenya, Ghana and Jamaica, who will each have a representative via Zoom meetings. In an interview, Christine Wu, the director of African Museum Record Label and Media Limited, which is under the Gregory Isaacs Foundation Limited, confirmed the development and said the festival is held every February in Jamaica. February is Cultural and Heritage Month in Jamaica, and the festival features various reggae artists from Jamaica and around the world. Unfortunately, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the festival will this year be held virtually, and we have selected different personnel who will take part in the festival, either as a host in their country or performers. We have selected Tich to be one of the hosts, she said. She said the program has already set aside dates for each country. She said the Reggae Month is usually held in the Caribbean and United States and the African continent, which had been excluded before and now been included to spread the gender appeal. Organizers wish to write history during the festivities by including African countries present. The Gregory Isaacs Foundation and Africa is standing for intercultural exchange, hence setting aside a day called Reggae from Africa. So far, War from Kenya, Rocky Dawuni from Ghana, and African Zimba from Nigeria have confirmed their interviews. According to Tich, the organizers of the show selected him because of his background in Highfield, where he was a reggae fanatic at a tender age. Tich said he had started preparing and researching ahead of the festival. He is expected to host the show from Zimbabwean side on a virtual platform, having interviews with some of the reggae icons locally and on the playlist.
You and your girl, things could be pretty, but underneath...
Big thank you for doing the watching. Before we go, a recap of our headlines. Today on Pan-African News, we brought you some concerns of some parents in Ejisu who are worried over the rising case of COVID-19 as today marks the 4th day of the reopening of schools. And the managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Comrade Kwesi Jr., worried about the current state of Ghana's economy. And in business, Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry has tasked government to consider the provision of stimulus package for local businesses. My name is ABENA. Thank you for watching us. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.